Hanlon, and I'm a senior here at Wolcott High School, and I'll be furthering my education at Mount St. Mary's College in the fall. I was first introduced to Capstone my junior year, last year, by my friend Amber Gianni. She encouraged me to take this class, telling me that this would be the best class I could take my senior year. And looking back, I am so happy that I took her advice. Since the beginning of my Capstone experience, I knew that I wanted to focus my project on Sandy Hook. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to focus on. I was debating between building a memorial here at the school or either donating money to a foundation. But then I was told that there are warehouses full of supplies in Newtown that were not being used, so I went in a different direction. And I thought, what about a documentary on Sandy Hook itself? But as everybody knows, that is a very emotional topic, so I wanted to focus more on the aftermath than what actually happened that day. And that's what triggered my research. My research had 3 major points, which were gun control, school security, and foundations. As you know, gun control debate has taken the country by storm in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook tragedy. And most people agree that stricter gun laws are a necessity in this country, so a crime like this never happens again. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, is actually debating to put armed police officers or have armed weapons in school to protect students. Also, going along with that, school security has also boosted tremendously. Even here at Wolcott High School, security has been boosted to protect us students. For example, after school, all the doors in the school remain locked besides the gym door. And also, panic buttons have been installed in every school in the district. The third major point of my research were foundations that were set up in the aftermath. And a foundation that I looked into was the Sandy Hook Community Foundation, which has received over $11 million in donations, and $7.7 million of those dollars were actually given to the 40 families that were directly affected. And the remaining is actually going to focus on mental health. Another foundation is the Sandy Hook Promise, which I am actually a part of, and its mission is to prevent the causes of gun violence. Some minor points of my research also included first responders from that day and how they are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and also the families that were directly affected. So my final product, I actually heard of an organization called the Sandy Ground Project, which is building 26 playgrounds in memory of the 26 lives lost at Sandy Hook in December of 2012. I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the building and ribbon cutting ceremony for James Mattioli in Milford, Connecticut in March. In just a couple of minutes, I will be showing you my documentary that further details my product. I definitely faced some challenges along my way. I had no prior experience on how to make a documentary. I've never used iMovie before, so it was definitely a trial and error on how to perfect and make my documentary. And also the technology was a little bit of a challenge, as you'll see in my documentary. The quality of some of the videos I took on the camera that I had are not as sharp as I wish they could have been. And of course, with such an emotional topic like this, I could only work on my documentary for certain portions at a time. It just got very emotional, as you will see in my documentary. But what I've learned through this whole experience is my public speaking skills have drastically improved. For someone who is going into the broadcast journalism field in college, having a basic background of public speaking skills will definitely help me along down the road. I also learned how to write a proper research paper. Prior to this class, I've never written a 12 to 15 page research paper, and now that I will be going off to college next year, I'm much more confident in my writing skills. And also I learned how to make a documentary and edit a documentary. And I think the most important thing I've learned through this whole thing is just how great this experience is. I recommend that every student should take this. It may seem like a lot of work at first, but this hasn't just made me a better overall student, but just a better overall person in general. So the documentary speaks for itself. So without further ado, I present you with my documentary.
It was an honor to know her. She taught me about how to love, how to give. She was beautiful, and every day I cry.
Daniel Barton. He was known as the kid that would talk to somebody sitting alone. He was genuinely an old soul.
He was my best friend and my buddy. He'd introduce himself as Jesse and Daddy. He was on my whole life.
And she had a sort of innocence about her, a kind of denial of all of the ugly things in the world. We had no idea that some ugly thing would come and take her from us.
December 14th marks the day Adam Lanza entered Sandy Hook Elementary School with a semi-automatic assault weapon with 300 rounds of ammunition, 2 handguns, and a 12-gauge shotgun ready to kill. At around 9:30 a.m., just as school had begun, Adam shot his way into the elementary school.
John 911, what's the location of emergency?
Sandy Hook School. I think there's somebody shooting in here at Sandy Hook School.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Because somebody's got a gun. I bought a glue for somebody. They're running down the hallway. They're still running. There's still a shooting. Sandy Hook School, please.
There's still shooting going on, please.
In less than 5 minutes, Adam Lanza fired more than 150 shots and took the lives of 20 children and 6 school employees. With the police closing in on the scene, Adam held the gun to himself and took his life. The whole nation wept and grieved with the people of Newtown. That day will go down in history as a day of sadness, sorrow, and tragedy in the United States of America.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
However, in the face of indescribable evil, something positive gave light to the storm. The Sandy Ground Project, founded by Bill Lavin and New Jersey firefighters, is an organization that is spreading hope and joy to the people affected by this evil. The Sandy Ground Project's mission is to create 26 living memorials to all children and adults who have been victims of violence while creating safe, fun places for children to be children. The playgrounds are being built throughout New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. These playgrounds not only honor the victims of Sandy Hook, but is also rebuilding coastal communities that were destroyed by Hurricane Sandy, the deadly hurricane that struck the coastline in the fall of 2012. I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the building and ribbon cutting ceremony of the 17th playground in memory of James Mattioli in March. When I arrived at the build day, I immediately felt the love and compassion the firefighters and volunteers had for this amazing cause. Due to the chilly temperatures the day of the build, there were a row of tents that contained heaters, coffee, and endless amounts of food that seemed to be refilled every 10 minutes. After everyone took their final sip of coffee and took the last bite of their donut, it was time to get to work. Prior to the start of the build, there was a brief ceremony where Bill Lavin said many thank yous to many people who made this day and the organization possible. Also, as a tradition of the building, there is always a foreman, a person who supervises and directs other workers during a project. The foreman, or should I say forewoman, of the build was Anna, James's older sister.
As is our tradition, we always have our 4 men, and in this case, our 4 women. Anna, and we have a presentation, actually, known that I guess my
hard hat that had a picture of James on the front with the American flag as a backdrop. Construction was finally on its way. In a matter of 4 hours, a dirt-covered patch of land was turned into a beautiful playground that just by looking at it put a smile on your face. The color of each playground built varies depending on the child's or adult's favorite color. James's playground was decorated red, white, and blue, which represented not only his favorite colors, but a sports team. After the playground's finishing touches were completed, it was time to hang up the hard hats and break out the running shoes. Prior to the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the town of Milford held a 5K race to help pay for the newly built playscape. About 1,300 people were in attendance for the race. Some were competitive runners, while others were there to solely support James's playground. After the race concluded, hundreds gathered around James's new, beautiful playground. This day was extremely special, not only in that it was the ribbon-cutting ceremony of the playground, but it was also James's birthday. To celebrate his birthday, an airplane flew above with a banner hanging off of it that said, "A gift to Milford on my birthday. Love, James." He would have turned 8 that day.
Here in Milford, there's only one hero that we need to be here, and he's here in a very real way, lifting this community up on his shoulders. And that's our hero, our angel, James Mattioli.
The ceremony was filled with thank yous and tears of happiness. On behalf of the Milford Fire Department, they presented James's parents with a certificate for James and a plaque that said that James is now an honorary member of the Milford Fire Department. A tradition of the Sandy Ground Project is that there is a bell placed on every playground built. The bell represents that every time it is rung, an angel gets its wings. In following the tradition, Anna, the forewoman, and James's sister, was responsible in performing the ceremonial bell ring.
Bell that we will present now to Cindy and Mark. Every time the bell rings, an angel gets its wings. James R. Mattioli.
Then it was time to bring out the tissues. Cindy, James's mother, spoke of her son that brought tears to the crowd.
There's really no more beautiful place for a playground to honor James than here in Milford. Milford was our home for 9 years, and we have incredible happy memories here. It's where we brought both of our children home from the hospital. It's where they were baptized at St. Mary's down the street. It's where James learned to walk, where he used to go with Anna and I to the children's library where we were this morning and pull all the books off the shelves faster than I could put them back. And I know I didn't put them back in the right spot. And it's where he played on his very first playground, so there's no more fitting place than Milford for this playground to be. We're so grateful to the city and for the mayor for accepting our request to build here. And we're hopeful that there'll be many more happy memories made on that playground right there. Today is the day that James would have and should have turned 8. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's looking down with happiness in his heart at everything that's happening here. One of his favorite sayings that he used to say before bed many nights was, "I love you all." And in James's honor, today I want to say happy birthday, Jay. I love you all.
James's artwork was displayed at the playground next to a sign that read and explained the Sandy Ground Project and how this was James's playground. The thank yous and ceremony came to an end, and it was finally time to play.
Well, it's been really great. My dad is the founder of the foundation, so I've been through all these stages, even through the baby stages, so it's really
God when this happened? Why didn't he stop it? God allowed others to kill his son. He allows for all of us to make our own choices, good or bad, because that's the only way good can be in us, if we freely choose it over all else. Evil didn't win that day. We'll carry on that love. It's quiet. It's not on the news. It takes effort to find. But what I realized through all of this is how strong and how big God's love really is. So if you would like some more information on the Sandy Ground Project, you can definitely visit the website, which is www.sandygroundproject.org. And as of today, 23 out of the 26 playgrounds have been built. So I will now open up the room to questions and comments.